Good morning. We start with a poem. This spring of all springs, I'm starved for color. The blue jay yesterday morning made my heart rise. A long, dark winter of isolation has taken its toll. There has been starvation of our senses. I long for the light of the forsythia there by the fence. I hunger for the purple crocus that filled Mom's yard. How long is the wait for the trillium and the sensual trailing arbutus? Snowdrops have arrived in their artful subtlety. The daffodil sprouts can be seen. Tulips will come soon. Do they know their own power? Our eyes and souls feast on those humble blossoms. The blooms of spring are nutrients for our souls. Salvation, rebirth, sun-soaked energy incarnate. Let us be fed by nature's potluck. You are welcome here, spring. As we welcome spring, we welcome all of you here in the sanctuary and those of you streaming from home. Your presence is a gift. You are welcome here in the fullness of who you are. I'm Mary Van Valen, and I serve on your Sunday Services Committee. Richard Miller and Amanda Mangiardi will be helping with the service today. As a way of staying connected one to another, we share our joys and concerns in the book where Betsy is, and they will be shared after the prelude. For those of you streaming from home, we have a few changes, and they'll begin next week. We will no longer be gathering by Zoom before the service, but we will continue virtual coffee hour after the service. So to send in joys and concerns, you have two options. One, you can use a Google form that will be in the flash next week, or you may email your joys and concerns to Reverend Alex. For those of you in the sanctuary, thanks to Penny Ort, we have coffee hour after the service. Plus, the Art Committee suggests that you may want to enjoy their gallery in the hall featuring the works of Sally Mitchell. Just to embrace the lovely magic of spring, as we listen today, let's hold silence after the poetry and music. And now we begin with Andante.
opening words this morning were written by Carol Ritter, a member of our congregation, entitled "The Woods in April." April is what makes me a believer that winter is on her way out. The tide of spring cannot be resisted. The dead mats of grass and weed green up as soon as the heavy snow blanket is pulled back, kicked off. Green up as soon as the heavy snow, let me reread that line. The dead mats of grass and weed green up as soon as the heavy snow blanket is pulled back, kicked off. I know that spring is for real because the crows and ravens bear news of that. The long, quiet winter is being shown the door. That regime is crumbling.
We honor and acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the original homeland of the Anishinaabe, who are the Ojibwe and Ottawa in our region. We raise the birch bark basket holding the 4 sacred medicines of sweetgrass, cedar, sage, and tobacco to remind us to hold space for the Anishinaabe as we work to reconcile the harm of colonization. As we light our chalice this morning, we gather in beloved community. The warmth and light from our chalice gives us hope that the world may finally find peace. As we ring the singing bowl this morning, allow the sound to center and quiet you as we prepare to receive the joy of today's service, filled with art, music, poetry, and prose.
But why he can't be in 2 places at once? This is a song, Spring is Coming. Cindy and I are going to share with you. Spring is coming, I can feel it in the air. Spring is coming, I can see it everywhere. Spring is coming and winter is gone. Twilight time has finally come. Don't get me wrong, don't misunderstand. I love it when the leaves snow covers the land. Everything is white, sparkling clean, cold and cold. But even that beauty, well, it start getting oh, ho, ho, ho. There'll come a time when the dark days are done, and I'm ready to see the sun. Spring is coming, I can feel it in the air. Spring is coming, I can see it everywhere. Spring is coming and winter is gone. Feel like the time has finally Flowers push through, showing blue and yellow, and that warm old sun, when it comes, makes me feel so mellow. We feel a joy from within. Here we go. That's how it always begins. Spring is coming, I can feel it in the air. Spring is coming, I can see it everywhere. Spring is coming and winter is gone. Feel like the time has finally come. Feel like the time has finally come.
Out your cupboards, wash the windows, and clean out your wallets and purses and put it in the collection this morning. It's really close to April Fool, as you know. Seriously, our offering is a collective gift that holds this congregation and our wider community in well-being. Those of you streaming today, you may contribute in 3 ways: mailing a check, donating online, or using the Give Plus on your phone. Know that your donations are used wisely and are deeply appreciated. Thank you.
It is our practice as a religious community to share the joys and concerns that mark our lives. I'll be sharing with you the joys and concerns that have been written in our book this morning and shared with us online. Congratulations to Dick Robb, Benzie UU, for his forum piece in the Record Eagle today. Thank you to UU members who continue to hold Bob in your thoughts. From Nancy Doty. A joy. Glad to know that Don and Nancy Frazier are back in TC. From Joy Platypus. Much gratitude to Carl Kyneth for his skillful and artful creation, a new stand for the Joys and Concerns candles with bonus storage shelf. Thank you, Carl, from the congregation. Connie Mooney had a stroke on Tuesday and is recovering at Munson. She can talk and see and is in good spirits. The stroke hit the balance center of her brain and she is struggling with coordination. Connie may need a ride to Grand Rapids on Tuesday. Please reach out if you are able to help. We are holding Connie in our thoughts today and over the next few weeks as she recovers. And we light a final candle for the joys and concerns that remain in the silence of our hearts.
Sunday, Sunday. Bright sunny day, dark, troubling days. What is going on? What can we make of where we are, what we are? Is life just a folly, just a bad, crazy dream? Or perhaps a nightmare wrapped up in a candy wrapper? An ant pushes a huge grain of sand up and out of the earth, topping off the summit of his hill. Then brings along the next grain. Why bother? Well, what is an ant supposed to do? We twist and wring our minds and, eyes closed to the world outside, retreat to angst, guilt, entrapment of our own making, as if it matters any more than pushing a single grain of sand up out of the earth. Woe, or perhaps woe, heavy lifting. Let us just sit back, see the sun shine, feel its warmth radiating on our skin from 93 million miles away. Enjoy the taste of a dish of iced cream in the company of a friend.
Springtime morning walks have always been the best for me. And this is prose written by Carol Ritter. Springtime morning walks have always been the best for me. I especially savored them in my younger days when I lived in big cities. The golden light of an April morning made even the toughest, scariest neighborhood, not sure, look homey and sweet. Yeah, let me have that because my iPad's. The golden light of an April morning made even the toughest, scariest neighborhood look homey and sweet. The most derelict homes seemed to have wistful expressions upon their faces as they contemplated their glory days gone by, and were thankful that they were still all together, just like old times. People that had to be at work would trot down their stairs, lunch in hand, hurrying along to the bus stop or carpool. The late-night crowd was now asleep in their beds or upon their friends' couches, rendered harmless for hours. Sometimes I'd pass a grandma on her front porch in her snap front house dress and her fuzzy slippers, basking in the mild spring sunshine, despite the chill. She will smile at you if you wave. These days, my morning walks are in the woods or on a narrow dirt road that descends into a swamp. The snow is now gone from the path, and the bare ground is mostly visible when I peer into the woods. The slanted light of spring makes discernible all of the animal tracks along the trail. It's like reading the morning news. I get to see who was out and about during the recent dusk and dawn, and who crept around in the dark of night. The early birds of spring are wonderfully raucous and excitable in April, all needing to reaffirm their territories and mating status. My eyes scan for little treasures, and as yet undistracted by colorful flowers and greenery, I am left with the pale gray-green, lightly frilled shields of tea lichen. The symbolic marriage of fungi and algae into one functioning organism deserves a close-up inspection. These artworks are unfazed by the seasons, abundant, perhaps a bit repetition in design, but they never fail to please me. Ah, spring. I excel praise for the beauties of the earth. Do I honor the eons of time and natural laws, or does the credit belong to mystical powers not understood? It doesn't really matter. The miracle is equal either way.
It was the lover and his lass with a hey and a ho and a hey, nonny no, and a hey, nonny nonny no. That o'er the green cornfields did pass in springtime, in springtime, in springtime, the only pretty ringtone. When birds do sing, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring in springtime. In springtime, the only pretty ringtime. When birds do sing, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring. When pretty lovers take the time with a hey and a ho and a hey, nonny no, and a hey, nonny nonny no. For love is crowned with the prime in springtime, in springtime, in springtime, the only pretty ringtime. When birds do sing, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring in springtime. In springtime, the only pretty ringtime. When birds do sing, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding, hey ding-a-ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring.
This is a short poem written by Ogden Nash entitled Always Marry an April Girl. Praise the spells and bless the charms. I found April in my arms. April golden, April cloudy, gracious, cruel, tender, rowdy, April soft in flowered languor, April cold with sudden anger, ever changing, ever true. I love April, I love you.
What is joy at age 70? Now that I'm 70 years old, joy is a day without pain. When I can take a walk in the woods wearing my favorite hiking boots. When I can walk on the beach looking for Petoskey stones. Now that I'm 70 years old, joy is my piano. I tell it all my secrets, and I often cry when I play, tears of joy and tears of sorrow. Now that I'm 70 years old, joy is my mother continuing to be a presence in my life, and in me finding a healthy kind of romantic love that's nurturing and kind. And I can focus on myself for the first time in my life. Now that I'm 70 years old, joy is noticing the beauty of the earth, smelling the deep green smell of the forest, watching as sunlight tumbles through the leaves, making dancing patterns of blue, green, and yellow. Now that I'm 70 years old, joy is the laughter of my grandchildren, and noticing how all my boys, my 3 boys, have wonderful life partners. So I don't have to worry about them, and feeling grateful for that. Now that I'm 70 years old, joy is taking a long, aimless drive, noticing how the leafless trees make patterns against the sky, and the clouds look like a Monet painting, and then watching the sunset over Lake Michigan in Frankfurt. Now that I'm 70 years old, joy is taking the time to notice and appreciate things and feeling gratitude for it all, for the wonder of it all. Joy is life.
Help me plant this branch deep. Help me water it well. Help me keep it growing strong. Though it's just a lacy willow branch now, it'll be a tall tree before too long. What follows is a story. It's a true story about the people who lived on our farm up in East Jordan. When Sam courted Goldie, made her promises 3, a house, 5 children, and a tall willow tree. She followed when he left the camp and moved into town. He got a job, he worked hard, he wouldn't let her down. Help me plant this branch deep, help me water it well, help me keep it growing strong. Though it's just a lacy willow branch now, it'll be a tall tree before too long. That was a musical interlude. When the seeds were all planted, the fields they were cleared. The children numbered 4, and a 5th was near. Sam was keeping those promises he'd made years before, and the last one was the willow branch placed by the door. 60 years they lived and loved. Now they lie on the hill, side by side in life and death. We remember them still, in the strength and the grace of that tall willow tree, tells their story and holds their memory. Help me plant this branch deep, help me water it well, help me keep it growing strong. Though it's just a lacy willow branch now, it'll be a tall tree before too long. Though it's just a lacy willow branch now, It'll be a tall tree before too long. That was my song-ish.
Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all? Is that familiar to you? Lifted. Earlier today, I wrote about a world being doomed. I may have used harsher words, to be honest. I let melancholy wash over me. I soaked in it most of the day. This evening, I took a walk with my dog. We meandered down the wooded road and turned to head for home. Then my worldview lifted. High above us, to the north, a barred owl asked me, "Who cooks for you?" I quickly responded, "I cook for me." But I would also be happy for new recipes should this dark-eyed raptor have any to share. The owl simply repeated the question, and I admittedly said, "I'm really tired of cooking for myself." But I noticed my steps lighten. Maybe the world is not doomed or worse. There is an owl tucked away in the north woods who wants to know who's cooking. The sweet hoot of a barred owl is my salvation on this day of sadness. Not really about cooking, but that the natural world here still thrives. Somehow, we have not destroyed this bird's habitat. Somehow, the barred owl survives. Somehow, maybe I too can thrive again and cook dinner for you all.
This is a piece written by John Wellwood, a writer on the West Coast, entitled "Forget About Enlightenment." Sit down wherever you are and listen to the wind singing in your veins. Feel the love, the longing, the fear in your bones. Open your heart to who you are right now. Not who you would like to be, not the saint you are striving to become, but the being right here before you, inside you, around you. All of you is holy. You are already more and less than whatever you can know. Breathe out, touch in, let go.
forgot to read one of the joy and concern, so I would just like to share that now. From Sylvia. For my mom and Aunt Jean, a few Hail Marys, and from me, may one great spirit walk with us and guide us. Ho.
This from 2016. It's April 6th, this fine Sunday morning, and I lift my gaze to Bernice's roof. Since December, it's been a constantly changing snow sculpture. But today, on this sunny dawn, that old roof is bare. Yesterday, lingering snow. Today, the most beautiful, empty roof. Speaking of empty, this is a winter that has almost emptied all of us out. We have been tested. But this morning, the energy, the unstoppable energy of spring has won this day, and we aced the test. Our sentence has been served. We are released. We are free. It's time for the reunion of old friends, snowdrops, crocus, daffodil. Bernice's roof is snowless. Bring on the call of the red-winged blackbird. Color, warmth, and new life awaits. Bernice's roof is bare.
As we extinguish our chalice today, let us take this flame into our hearts. And let's take a moment of silence while we send the warmth and light of our chalice, which we hold in our hearts, to the many suffering in this horrible war. And now, Kim and Barbara will play the Ukrainian national anthem. The title translates to say, "The glory and freedom of Ukraine has not yet perished." And now, finally, now, let's applaud all of this. And one who isn't always seen as part of the performance, but it wouldn't work without him, Jeff. Thank you, artists. Thank you, poets. Thank you, writers. Thank you, musicians. It is such a gift that we share this together today. Thank you. With hearts brimming with gratitude, we lean towards spring, being lifted up by the creative hearts and minds of this beloved congregation. Go in peace and with great anticipation.